here today with Narendra, who is a spiritual master teacher and the founder of Spirituality for Results. Thank you for watching. So Narendra, tell us about your new book.
It's my experiences when I was going to Germany in between 95 and 98, and I met a very famous spiritual master. It's basically a diary of my journey.
Okay, and when I was reading the book, I noticed in chapter 4 that you talk about the importance of having a master, and why is that an important thing?
Spiritual masters are actually important for people who want to make a lot of spiritual progresses, especially in shorter periods of time, because anybody can read a book. And same thing with basic spiritual practices. I guess every faith or any system has its own practices and spiritual, like rituals and scriptures and all those that anybody can read. But then with that, your progress doesn't necessarily always have to be fast.
Okay, so when, like to me, fast would be a year. What can one expect as they go on their journey?
Usually people go to churches and follow their spiritual practices for many years. When I say many years, like 20 years to 30 years. And if they move a few inches, that's quite a lot. And even the expectations out of that is basically, well, at the end of it, I'll get some brownie points to go to heaven. But here I'm setting a totally different goal. I'm talking about people who will be going to become enlightened, or some of them even make more progress as to go become spiritual masters themselves. Time-wise, typically, if you're an average, it should take you about 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
After you have a very good, deep personal relationship with a spiritual master.
Oh, wow. Now, how would one know if they're enlightened, as you call it? Like, would they know, or what would be the kind of things they could expect to go, oh, I'm enlightened?
Are we talking about the student disciple, or are we talking about the master himself?
Oh, the person that's on the journey, the student.
What happens is, typically, if you are working with a master, and if the master is in a physical body, then it's part of that master's job to let you know how you're making progress. It becomes a little more tricky if you are believing in a master who's not in a physical body. Say somebody like Buddha or Jesus Christ, then how do you assess your progress? But there are very sound, well-tested methods of testing yourself and your progress.
Oh, so now, for people who don't have a definition of master, or everyone perhaps has their own definition, how would you define a master?
This is one of the big problems, and this is why it leads to a lot of disappointment in parts of people, because most of these spiritual teachers or masters or gurus, many of them, they have given themselves all kinds of titles, and the average person doesn't know the difference. But there's a very easy way to know that. If you follow a physical, a very simple way to measure this is to say, for example, follow a chakra system. And there are, as you know, that there are 7 chakras in the body, one being at the bottom of the spine, and 3 is here at the belly button, 4 is at the heart, 5 is here, 6 is between the eyes, and 7 is here. And what I'm talking about is, it's basically a system developed by a lot of sages and masters in India after thousands of years of research, and it defines the level of consciousness that a person is able to maintain most of the time. So actually everybody is a kind of master at a different level. You could be a master at maybe a 3 level, but that's all you can do. But a true spiritual master is somebody who has gone beyond 7, which is above the head, and to higher zones, and is able to sustain that level at a very high degree of confidence, or say most of the time.
Wow. So, I'm not sure if you want to get into how one would know if they're at that level, or we can do that for another topic later on.
I think for sake of simplicity, my suggestion would be that if you are only looking for results from spirituality, say for example, relieve your stress or want your blood pressure to go away, maybe have your health get a little bit better, relationships get a little bit better, then you may not be looking at the full potential of what your spirituality can offer. Because spirituality is not invented necessarily in East or West. It's part of our own growth. If you look at it, and if you just say, look at these 4 fingers, all of us as human beings have 4 dimensions: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Like having 4 wheels in a car. So physical means you have a physical body. Mental means you have a mind. Emotional means you have a heart. You can feel things now. Now when it comes to spiritual, that's where things get a little tricky. Because unfortunately, the word is rather used loosely, that anybody who does anything to do with prayers or meditation or starts to believe he or she is a spiritual person. But in true sense, a person is spiritual only when the 4th dimension, called the spirit, opens up. And in your physical body, what that means is once your consciousness has gone above the throat chakra, which is number 5. Because once it goes above 5, you are now, you can say that you are becoming enlightened, but not master yet. So you can call yourself enlightened being from here on up to here. And your mastery is once you cross this barrier of 7th chakra consistently. And this is the goal of spirituality, and this is also not an external goal. This is life itself, and the universe itself is trying to cooperate us to go in that direction through all the situations that are presented to us. And the goal is how quickly are we willing to grow up. And it's not necessary for anybody to shave off their heads and hang around with tambourines or put on a different kind of clothes. No, today times are changing. Today, this is the major transition going on in this world, that now more people are going to be transformed and their spiritual centers or 4th dimensions are starting to open up. And you know that by the fact that you become super sensitive, you become psychic, or you start seeing auras, you start hearing things, or you have visions, or you can touch somebody and can heal that person. All those gifts start to come to a person whenever he or she crosses this. Those are some of the telltale signs.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you that. So, and you talk about it in the book, and also you talk about, you give a very candid glimpse into your life as you were progressing, that it sounded like you went from being a stressed person to very serene. Is that another one of the benefits, for lack of a better word, that happens?
Yes, I mean, it's part of our own growth. And because as you go, as your 4th dimension, as we go from lower dimensions to higher dimensions, our health and our ability to deal with this world as is, whether good or bad, becomes more skilled. So which means we are not thrown off the balance that easily. Which means our minds are becoming sharper, we are becoming more intelligent, we are becoming more sensitive, we are becoming more caring, we are becoming more harmonious. Before we were disharmonious. Just to take an example of stress, stress only means that you have a whole lot of disharmonies living inside of you, inside your heart and inside your mind, and they got to go someplace. And what happens is they end up doing damage to your inner cells, and that's what disease is. Most of the health problems are caused by unresolved emotional or mental issues.
Okay, so to me that's an exciting thing because I think we're all looking for peace and then health, of course. So in your own life, as you were progressing and going on this journey, what kinds of things did you also see happen that like spurred you on, or why would people want to go on this journey?
Well, typically what happens is in the way the society is today, most people, you cannot blame them because there's a monkey see, monkey do kind of mentality, or you're trying to keep up with the Jones. But then as a result, they are taking on more loans, putting financial stress on themselves, whether they can afford it or not. With the recent recession we had, a lot of people went into bankruptcy, lost their homes, lost their boats, lost their houses, lost their jobs. And now people have to go back and rethink that, there's a balanced way of going about it. Sure, true spirituality is not entire life, and somehow because of bad teachings, that a bad impression is created that, oh my God, if I become spiritual, I can't drink wine, or I can't go out dancing, or I can't play golf. No, that's the farthest from truth. In fact, you become more lively, you become more joyful, you become more peaceful, you have more colors, you have more dance, you have more enjoyment. And this is exactly, if you, for example, believe in Christianity, go read what are the fruits of the Spirit. And you see, that's another way of measuring that you're going in that direction. You start seeing more and more fruits of the Spirit come into your life, and then you say, wow, that's when you really get excited. Because the idea is not just to go to work and come back and just have a family, whether you're miserable or not. The idea is to maximize your life and blossom to the fullest and enjoy life at every moment. So in my opinion, a lot of religions sometimes are only presenting a substandard goal. They say, well, if you do this, we'll book you a ticket in heaven. And if that's what you're settling for, you may just be going to a church or a temple just for getting the blessings, or maybe just for rituals and or dogma. But your life per se might be miserable, and you may not admit it, but your children know how good a person you are, and you're not. Every man can pretend and fool other people in the world, but his wife knows what kind of person he is.
Right.
He could be a deacon or a minister, but his wife and his children know what kind of person he is. The point I'm saying, the spiritual eye sees it all. In a genuine way, that you become joyful and peaceful and harmonious and efficient and capable. So your skill sets also become very sharpened. So the idea is that your success, your capabilities become very refined and become more skillful, and you start experiencing what you call the light of heaven right from here. And whenever you have to leave this world, you're going to have fun there too.
So what I'm hearing is that a person can really feel like they're actually living their calling. They're finding why they're here and living that deep purpose that we all inside yearn for. Kind of, is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's part of the discovery. That's part of the discovery that we find, because as you become, what happens is most people, they get educated, but they don't know what the real purpose of life. They don't know what the real purpose of life is. And the idea is when you go in step into spirituality, you tend to become more and more peaceful within you. And all these unproductive noises start to subside. And when the noises subside, now you can face off in pure peace and look at your own inner beauty that they keep telling you about. Because if God made you and me in His own image, that doesn't mean that you have to grow a beard like Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or I have to shave off my head like Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the meaning. It means the spirit dimension of us is very much similar to them. That's even though physical body and emotional mind, those things are a little bit different. But the beauty that you realize is that each one of us have been given special gifts and special projects. And as you look within with quiet and peace, it becomes more clear to you. Otherwise, what starts to happen is, in life, you never listen to your own inner voice, and it gets drowned either in the inner noise or opinions of other people. And how many people then feel as they get older that, you know what, they never listen to their own selves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in fact one of the biggest regrets. There have been studies out there. This lady, she did a research on people. What are some of the regrets of people who are in the hospice and not too far away from death? One of the regrets they have is, I should not have worked so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Not at the cost of ignoring my family and my health.
Mm-hmm.
The other regret is I should have stayed in touch with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And another regret people have is that I should have listened to my own inner voice. And I should not have allowed my inner voice to be suppressed or drowned out by other people's opinions and voices. So all those things start to become more and more clear to us. Just like anything else. As you become more sensitive, as you become more aware, then it's right around us.
Uh-huh.
But somehow we're not looking at it.
So, so when you talk about this clearing or this slowing down or getting rid of the static, are there steps we can do? I know you give a lot of candid life story in the book about your own journey of that, clearing out the stuff.
Yes, yes. See, everybody has to follow some spiritual system. It's just like finding a job. There is a methodology how to find a job and how to keep a job. Same way in kitchen, there is a way to say, well, you got to maintain a hygiene so that you don't get sick, and you have to get good recipes so you and your whole family can enjoy. In the same way, in spirituality, you want to be able to look at the whole menu. And the sad part is, if you go to any church or any temple, any spiritual practices, they don't necessarily give you the whole menu of what different options you have. And my findings have been that, yes, everybody prays. Some people meditate. Some people ask for protection. Some people ask for forgiveness. Some thank the universe. Some put white light or purple light or yellow light protections around themselves. Some use cleansing techniques like pranayams or breathing techniques. Those are all well and good, but they alone are not going to get you to the higher side of spirituality. Because if you really want to make some serious progress in a much faster way, you have to make connection with the spiritual master. Spiritual master is somebody who has been there and who lives there all the time. And he or she can pull you in a much faster way. And what I'm talking about, you're talking short periods, like within months to 1 or 2 years or 3 years. And there, ultimately what you find is that even words sometimes are not necessary. These are transmitting of very high level frequencies beyond ultraviolet or alpha, beta, gamma or cosmic rays. And these masters they live in those zones that they can transmit those frequencies to those deserving students or God seekers that you have experience of God just like they live in all the time. And this is where it makes the fastest difference. And that is the true meaning. When a Christian person comes in and asks you, well, do you accept Jesus Christ as your Savior and Lord? What that means is what I just explained to you. But anybody else, there are masters all over. The God is not short of masters. And there have been many masters coming from for thousands and thousands of years. Anybody who's living at the Christ consciousness level has the ability or gift to pull other people and help them move forward.
Okay, that's very encouraging. So we kind of come full circle that a quick way to grow spiritually in people who we all have that desire. So to me, that's very exciting, and we thank you for sharing your journey in the book about that. And in another vignette, we'll talk more about what is a master, and because I think there's a lot on that topic that can be said. So again, thank you for watching, and this is Narendra, author of Conversations in Silence.
Thank you.